So I originally started because I worked for a big rescue organisation, and I just had a passion, as most people do. Love dogs, want to work with them somehow, don't know how. And funnily enough, I took a real risk. So we'll talk about my journey a lot more as we go through this podcast. And I'm not as a risk taker as Jo is. However, I think I took a big risk back in 2003, I want to say, when I first started working for the Blue Cross. I took a job where it was 6-month maternity cover, and at the end of that 6 months, I might not have had a job. And I went, I'll get 6 months experience of working with dogs, gets my foot in the door, gets me another job. So that's what I was thinking when I did it. Luckily, the girl never came back. Sorry, Zoe. She never came back, and that was it. I just loved it. I immersed myself in it. I became the dog behaviour advisor at the centre as well. And I just was like absorbed by everything behaviour. And so then it led me into that preventative, how can I stop these dogs either ending up in rescue in the first place, or how can I make them more rehomable if they do end up in rescue through unavoidable circumstances like relationship breakups, which was it's one of the most common reasons why dogs are relinquished, is that the people break up and they've got rented accommodation, they can't take the dogs. So I went into running puppy classes for that reason. I was like, if we get people from the source and we give them the foundational skills, then at least those dogs have got a good resilience and they can kind of cope with these things if they do happen. And then, as a normal sort of journey with it, really, I started offering adolescents and follow-ons and many other types of classes, and we'll talk about this a bit more as we go along as well. But I was one of those that offered all these different types of things. I didn't want to let anybody go, and if anybody inquired that had a need for something, I usually invented a course to accommodate them. And so I was pretty much working all hours. I was earning enough to get by, but I ended up burning out, and I ended up becoming really frustrated at my clients and just feeling a bit unsatisfied with everything, really. And then I met you, and my outlook on everything changed, and I've had a real enlightening journey since then, and I've changed my business completely now, and it's unrecognisable really from the business that I started with, and I'm so much happier now. And then we met through that, we collaborated and we formed this business that we've got now, Canine Business Academy, and that's where we are. So your journey, Jo, is quite similar in some ways but different in other ways, because your background was more corporate, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I did 16 years in corporate, so it was an ad agency, so quite marketing focused and very, very intense, like more often than not 80-hour weeks. Very, very intense. Got shouted at a lot by clients, like quite abusive shouting at as well. Really? Like, if your poster did not arrive on time, how dare you, and the stress that came with it. But weirdly, at the time, I thought I loved it. So we then got our husky, Leica, like 10-ish years ago now. And I got told by everybody, like, why are you getting a husky? You shouldn't get a husky. They're not a really good pet dog. They're really stubborn, all of this other stuff. And my personality type is very much a, screw you, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you what I can do. So I enrolled into your bog standard kennel club puppy class. Did the bronze and silver award, I think they were, or still are called now.
I offered those as well, yeah.
Of course I did. Did those, and I was like, do you know what, I actually enjoy this, and how can I get into this even more? So then at the time, so about 10 years ago, Cesar Millan was actually quite big on TV.
Yeah.
And again, at that time, I don't feel like, I mean, there may have been, but I certainly wasn't privy to it, because I'd say that kind of dominated, pun intended, the actual media sphere, didn't it? Like, that was all that was kind of prevalent. All that
was out there, yeah.
So I ended up falling into, I did a course with, I think it's called the UK Dog Whisperer. So he was essentially the UK version of Caesar. And when I say a course, it was a village hall, and I got a little certificate for attending and sitting there whilst someone talked to me about all of these things that you do with dogs. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then he told me I could call myself a behaviourist from that one day.
I never knew this.
I was like, amazing. Okay, awesome.
That's how easy it is.
I know.